Hello everyone, my name is Craig Adler. I'm a retired certified financial planner. I'm also sometimes known as the Angry Financial Planner. I think I have a very exciting and interesting topic and video for you today, and that is I am going to try to answer the question, can we use artificial intelligence to serve as our financial planner or possibly to replace a financial planner we might have hired in the past? To answer that question, I'm going to ask artificial intelligence a number of critical questions that we would need to know the answers to in order to structure and build our own investment portfolio. Once I ask the questions, at the end and the conclusion, I will evaluate the overall response and results determined by artificial intelligence and the answers it provided. But before I do that, just a very fast interjection. I started my channel about 2 years ago. My initial goal was to get to 1,000 subscribers. You can see at the time that I uploaded this video, I am about a third of the way there. So I think my progress has been a little bit slower than I had hoped for. I think one of the reasons this might be happening is my videos always focus on financial education and very little on financial hype. I think that's great for improving our overall financial literacy, but maybe not so great for developing the channel. If you are finding my videos beneficial and helpful, please support the channel by subscribing. You have no idea how thankful and how appreciative I would be. Now let's get back to the main topic, which is, can we use artificial intelligence to serve as our financial advisor? In order to answer that question, I'm going to be asking artificial intelligence 3 different questions. The first question I'm going to ask is, what should my overall asset allocation be, or how much money should I have invested in stocks? The second question I'm going to ask is, which specific investments or which specific mutual funds should I own to build that recommended allocation or to build that recommended portfolio? And the third and final question that I'm going to ask is, should I be making Roth or pre-tax contributions? Once I get done asking all the questions and reviewing the results, I'll go ahead and provide my conclusion for you to the question, can we rely on artificial intelligence to serve or to help us as a financial planner? So here is question number 1. I asked the question, I stated, I am 50 years old and I have moderate risk tolerance. What should my overall asset allocation be, or what percentage of my money should I have in stocks? What I am sharing with you now is the answer that I was given. I was told that I should have 65% of my money in stocks and the other 35% in bonds or fixed income investments. But it didn't stop there. It kind of gave me a range. It said if I wanted to be moderately conservative, in that case, I would want to go down to 60% stocks. If I wanted to be moderately aggressive, I should have 75% of my money in equity or stocks. So it gave me a very acceptable range between 60 and 70%. It didn't stop there though. It actually gave me the justification on where those numbers came from. It used 2 different models. The first was an age-based model where it took either 120 or 110 and subtracted my age from that value. And that result would be the amount of money that I would have in stock. So every year as I got older, my stock exposure would go down. It also took a second approach. It looked at a 2040 target date fund. I was completely blown away by this. I was very impressed by this approach. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have any idea why it looked at a 2040 target date fund? Well, the answer is, remember, when I asked the question, I said I was 50 years old. Someone that's currently 50 years old would be very likely to be retiring sometime near the year 2040. So it knew what would be an appropriate target date fund for me. It then looked at the structure of that fund to determine the answer that it presented to me. I was very impressed and blown away by that approach. So it gave me the allocation. It gave me the justification, but then it also gave me reasons that I'm sharing with you now on why I might want to tweak that to optimize the recommendation. It said if I planned on retiring later in life, that would be a scenario where I might want to increase my stock or equity exposure. If I had safe and secure income sources like a rental property or a pension, that might be another reason why I might want to increase my stock exposure. But it also gave me a very important and critical warning. It said if I were behind schedule, I should be very careful and cautious about taking more risk to try to play catch up. What do most investors do when they're behind schedule? They're always looking for ways to increase their investment rate of return. That solution might work and it might be helpful and beneficial, but that solution can also create a lot of problems and even put us further behind schedule if things go wrong. Artificial intelligence was aware that I might consider that. It suggested that I avoid that solution, but rather increase my contributions instead. And I agree with that completely. That now takes us to question number 2. Question number 2 I presented this way. I said I want to have 60% of my money in stocks. I want to be moderately conservative. Which investments or what should be my exact asset allocation? Which mutual fund should I use to build that portfolio? It started out by giving me a generic recommendation. It told me I should have 42% in US stocks, 18% in international stocks, and the remainder of the money in fixed income or bond investments. I just want you to know I agree completely with that overall structure. I don't think I would have recommended anything differently. It also took that answer one step further. It showed me the exact funds that I should use at Schwab, Vanguard, and Fidelity. It showed me the exact funds that I would want to select at either of those 3 firms to build that generic portfolio. What I am sharing with you now are the results from Fidelity. The answers at Schwab and Vanguard essentially look the same, so I'm only going to share the Fidelity funds with you. If you want to know what were the exact funds recommended at Vanguard and Schwab, simply ask that question in the comments and I'll get back to you with a response as quickly as I possibly can. So it started out by giving me a generic recommendation. It then showed me the specific funds I should use at Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab, the exact same funds that I would have recommended myself, but then it gave me one other option or one other alternative. It said if I didn't want to take the time or make the effort of building my own portfolio, at Vanguard, it suggested a life strategy fund, a single fund solution that I could use to solve the problem or to have the appropriate mix. I also agree with that recommendation. The final question that I asked is, should I make Roth or should I make pre-tax contributions? The way artificial intelligence answered this question is, it started out by giving me kind of a generic recommendation. It said I should consider having 50% of my money going into Roth contributions, 50% into pre-tax. I love that answer, and here's the reason why. Just like we want to have investment diversification, it is critical. It is very important to have tax diversification as well. I think that 50-50 mix was a great starting point. It also gave me reasons why I might want to tweak that. If I had low income or if I were in a low tax bracket today, would it encourage it? It encouraged me to make additional Roth contributions. If I thought my income was going to fall off of a cliff the day I retire, I would want that tax benefit today, and it encouraged me to make additional pre-tax contributions in that scenario. I can now give you my overall conclusions and results to the question, do I believe artificial intelligence can replace a financial planner or serve as your financial planner today? The answer is absolutely, clearly, 100% yes. I believe the asset allocation that it suggested was amazing. The warning about not taking too much risk to try to play catch up, I was completely impressed and blown away by. The funds that it suggested were the exact same funds in the exact same ratio that I would have recommended to a client. And as far as managing the tax structure, I thought the recommendations between Roth and pre-tax presented a great starting point to the majority of individual investors. I can say without hesitancy, I would strongly encourage you to use artificial intelligence to help guide you with structuring your overall investments and your overall financial plan. Now, I do think it's still going to be beneficial and helpful to continue to improve your financial literacy, because it's going to be important that you know what questions to ask and how to at least interpret those results to a degree. But so far, from the questions that I presented, I thought the responses were absolutely perfect. I don't think I would have changed a single thing. I hope you found this video beneficial and helpful. If you did, please support the channel by subscribing. And remember, when it comes to our money, it is always better to be educated than angry.